Welcome to this deep dive. I think many of us share this experience. We're curious, right? You read, you listen, you gather all this knowledge, you really know the theory. But today, we want to dig into something else. That quiet frustration when you know what you should do, you know, the boundaries, the patterns, you see the flags, but you just stay stuck.
Oh, absolutely. And isn't that just the biggest source of self-judgment?
Yeah.
That little voice inside that says, look, I've got all this information, I can see the problem perfectly.
Yeah.
But my actual life, my day-to-day, that hasn't really shifted.
Exactly.
And then we think we're the problem. We must be failing somehow.
Yeah.
Because the knowing didn't just magically create the doing.
We totally mistake that intellectual aha moment for like real change having happened.
Right.
We think, okay, I named the trauma or I labeled the toxic pattern, job done. But that ache is still there, isn't it? You're still saying yes when you mean no.
Or shutting down instead of talking.
Or just burying your own needs and kind of hoping nobody notices.
And that just feeds the shame cycle, right? Where you end up thinking, well, I must be broken, or maybe I just don't have enough discipline. We want to challenge that right off the bat. This isn't about a lack of intelligence or, willpower. It's about a gap, a really critical gap.
Okay, so let's talk about that gap.
Yeah.
Where does that disconnect come from?
Well, fundamentally, the gap is between your head and your body,
Okay.
between the theory you understand and the reality you're living. So the core idea here really is that knowledge alone, it doesn't transform you.
Yeah.
It's experience that transforms you. The knowing lives up here in your thoughts, your narrative, but the stuckness, that lives in your physical self,
In your
body.
breath.
So to actually move, we have to shift our focus
Yeah.
away from just piling up more mental strategies.
More information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And towards just noticing what's happening right now in your body,
Yeah.
in this present moment.
Okay, that makes me think immediately of what you call the intellectual trap. I know people, and honestly, I've been that person myself, who can analyze their burnout or their relationship patterns with incredible clarity. Like they could write a thesis on it.
Yeah, they had the whole story down.
Exactly. They know why they do it, when it started, what they theoretically should do instead, and yet they keep pushing through exhaustion, or they just freeze up. Why? Why is the head so good at diagnosing but so useless at actually changing the behavior?
Because the head's job is running the history file. It's brilliant at analyzing the past, predicting the future based on that past.
Okay.
But real change, that requires meeting the truth of this moment right now.
Ah.
And that truth doesn't live in the story. It lives in the body. It's like the tiny tremor in your hands when you think about speaking up.
Yeah.
Or that breath you hold when someone criticizes you. Or maybe that tightness in your throat that's been there for years, signaling something you silenced way back when.
So the real work then, it's not about finding a better theory, it's about finding the visceral feeling, the truth of the pattern in the body.
It really is. I remember working with someone, let's call her Anna. Incredibly insightful woman. I mean, she'd read everything on attachment, could map out her childhood history, predict exactly how she's self-sabotaged when stressed, perfect understanding.
But stuck.
Completely paralyzed,
Yeah.
just living in this state of constant exhaustion and deep down feeling like she was betraying herself over and over. She actually said, I know exactly what I need to do. I can't feel the want to do it.
Wow. Okay, she had the diagnosis perfect. So what was missing? What shifted it?
Well, it was connecting to the cost of staying stuck, not just intellectually, but physically. So I asked her to put aside the history, the analysis, the strategies for a moment,
Right.
and just bring her awareness right here into the room, into her body. I said something like, okay, Anna, don't tell me the pattern again. Just what happens inside you, in your stomach, your shoulders, your jaw, right now, as you tell me you feel stuck.
That's a big shift. From the story to just pure sensation. Must have felt strange.
It was powerful. You could see her whole posture change. She stopped talking, started to tremble just a tiny bit. Her breath got really shallow. And after a few minutes of just letting that be there, that raw physical reality, she didn't talk about trauma theory. She just whispered, it feels like this. Massive heavy weight.
Wow.
She said, the weight of lying to myself again. And that moment where she truly felt the physical cost of the pattern, that was the turning point.
Not when she named it intellectually, but when she let herself feel the actual discomfort.
Exactly. That's when transformation can begin. When we finally allow ourselves to feel what all that knowledge has actually been pointing to all along, the real physical pain of our stuckness.
That makes so much sense. So the pain of realizing isn't a sign of failure. It's the truth finally landing in your body.
Mhm.
Okay, so if change needs that physical landing, how are we sort of naturally wired to move through things, and where does that process get blocked?
Well, what's really interesting is that as humans, we're actually designed for pretty simple, elegant flow. You could call it the cycle of experience. It's just how we naturally meet our needs.
Okay.
It starts with just a sensation, a physical stirring. Could be really subtle, like a little knot in your stomach, or maybe your shoulders suddenly slump and you realize, oh, I'm tired.
Sensation. Got it. What's next?
Next comes awareness. And this is a really key distinction. Sensation is just the raw signal. Awareness is when you notice and name the signal.
So the slump is the sensation.
Right. And awareness is the thought, oh, I am deeply tired right now. Not just I need more coffee or I'm bored, or maybe you feel heat rising in your chest sensation. Awareness says, that's anger, not just I feel stressed.
Wait, but if I feel tired, isn't that already awareness?
Not necessarily. A lot of us feel the raw sensation of the slump and we immediately jump past awareness. We go straight into rationalizing it or trying to fix it.
Ah, okay. Like, I shouldn't be tired. I need to focus.
Exactly. Awareness is that crucial pause. Just honoring the signal itself before you leap into action or judgment.
Okay, so sensation, then awareness. Then what? Mobilization.
Yes, mobilization. The energy starts to gather. If awareness recognizes I'm angry, the body naturally starts mobilizing the energy needed to maybe set a boundary.
Right.
If awareness says I'm tired, the energy mobilizes towards rest. Then fourth comes action or contact. Actually speaking the boundary, closing the laptop, maybe crying the tears that needed to come out.
Making contact with the need, basically.
Precisely. Fifth is satisfaction. The need gets met, that wave of energy settles down. And finally, sixth is withdrawal, which is just resting, integrating, letting go, getting ready for the next cycle.
It sounds so straightforward, almost biological.
It is, fundamentally.
But, like you said, in real life, most of us seem to get stuck somewhere between step 2, awareness, and step 4, action.
Yeah, that's the common sticking point.
We know we're angry, but we stop that mobilization cold. Or we feel the deep need to rest, but we just keep scrolling or push through another hour of work. We interrupt that natural flow.
And this is so important. We have got to stop labeling that interruption as some kind of personal failure.
Okay.
We need to reframe it completely. That interruption, the freezing up, the rationalizing, the distracting yourself, it's actually brilliant. It's an incredibly intelligent adaptation. It's protection.
Protection? How?
We interrupt the cycle because at some point in our lives, maybe way back, completing that cycle felt dangerous, unsafe.
Ah. So when I know I should speak up, but my voice just catches in my throat, that's not me being weak.
Not at all. It's likely an old survival pattern kicking in. Maybe as a kid, showing anger led to being punished or isolated.
Right.
So your nervous system learned deep down that mobilizing anger equals potential abandonment or danger. So you swallow it. The pattern kept you safe then, but now it keeps the cycle unfinished.
Okay, this really helps make sense of that feeling of being profoundly stuck. Like, you know all about burnout, you've read the articles, you tell others to rest, but you physically can't stop yourself.
Exactly, because your nervous system is running on an older, deeper program. It hasn't gotten the memo that things might be different now.
It's like the body remembers even when the mind wants to move on.
Absolutely. Think of someone, let's call him David. He knew all the theory, organizational psychology, stress management, preached self-care to his team, but he was physically incapable of actually slowing down himself. Every single time he tried to take a real break, try to rest, he'd get flooded with panic, just sheer panic and this overwhelming sense of guilt.
Wow, not just reluctance, but actual panic.
Yes. And when we invited him to just sit with that panic, not fight it, just notice it, he described this visceral feeling like something was throttling him in his chest and throat.
What was underneath that? What was the body's truth there?
When he stayed with it, the message that came through wasn't intellectual at all. It was this deep, body-level whisper saying, if I stop, I'll be useless. If I rest, I'll be abandoned.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't just a belief he held, it was a physical terror, rooted way back in childhood experiences where his worth, his safety even, felt directly tied to constantly doing, constantly achieving.
So his felt sense, his body's reality, was literally rest equals danger, or maybe even death.
Essentially, yes, or at least profound failure and isolation. And you see, you can't override that kind of deep somatic terror with a better to-do list or scheduling app.
No amount of planning rest time works if your body thinks resting is fundamentally unsafe.
Precisely. So the first step wasn't strategy. It was honoring the interruption. It was acknowledging that panic part. Wow, you worked so hard to keep him alive back when stopping did feel dangerous. Thank you for that protection.
Acknowledging the wisdom in the block itself.
Yes. Only after you truly honor that protective mechanism can you gently, tenderly invite it to maybe soften just a little, to see if maybe, just maybe, things are different now.
That really shifts the whole approach, doesn't it? If we accept that avoidance, that stuckness is actually a form of protection.
An adaptation.
Yeah, an adaptation. Then the goal isn't to bully ourselves into changing or to fix ourselves. It's more about turning towards that part of us that's trying so hard to keep us safe.
Exactly.
But okay, the practical person listening might still ask, what about strategy? I mean, feelings are important, but I have deadlines, I have responsibilities. Why is just feeling the feeling a better path forward than making a concrete plan?
That's a fair and really important question.
Oh, girl.
Because planning seems so active, right? So productive.
Right.
Here's the thing. Planning usually lives in the future. I will do this differently next time.
Yeah.
Feeling lives right here, right now.
Yeah.
And the reason pure strategy often fails is because the body's memory, which shows up as that feeling, that nervous system response, it overrides the mind's plan almost every time.
Because the body's program is older and stronger.
Much stronger, often. If your body fundamentally believes rest equals death, no amount of scheduling rest on your calendar is going to allow you to actually relax. You'll just lie there panicking, feeling guilty.
Been there.
Right. So the crucial next step isn't more planning for the future, it's actually presence. We have to stop trying to fix what's coming and instead find the courage to just be with the discomfort that's here, right now, in the present moment.
So we're avoiding the vulnerability of actually living the truth that we intellectually already know. Is that it?
That's a beautiful way to put it. Precisely. And that avoidance, that terror, it often stems from the sheer uncertainty of what happens if we let the cycle complete.
What do you mean?
Well, if I really let that rage gather and actually speak my truth, if I let that deep grief finally break open, my rational mind kind of panics because it loses control of the outcome. It doesn't know what will happen next.
So the control we think we have by not feeling is an illusion, but it feels safer than the unknown of feeling.
Exactly. So we have to start asking ourselves that really hard question. What am I actually afraid will happen if I let this feeling complete its cycle? If I let it move all the way through?
Okay. And going beyond the surface answer.
Yes, deeper. If I really let myself cry, fully, what might actually break open inside me? Maybe it's the whole carefully constructed image I have of myself as strong. If I actually say no to my partner, clearly and without apology, who might I lose? What safety am I afraid of jeopardizing?
Right.
If I allow myself to feel the full force of my anger about something, what responsibility might I then have to face? What might I have to change? The depth of that fear, the thing you most want to avoid, it's usually pointing directly towards your deepest wisdom.
So the wisdom isn't in the books necessarily. It's forged right there in the willingness to stay with that discomfort, to allow the cycle to finally complete itself, letting the grief soften you, letting the rage clarify something, letting the need finally be met and honored.
That's exactly it. The real goal becomes closing all that unfinished business, those feelings frozen in time, those truths stuck in your throat, not by analyzing them more, but just by being with them, fully, tenderly, without any agenda to make them go away faster.
And the action required might be incredibly simple, but hard.
Often the hardest. It's giving ourselves what was probably needed way back when the pattern got stuck in the first place, which is usually some form of permission, space, and just deep, honest compassion for the feeling itself.
Which brings us right back around to where we started this conversation. For you listening, maybe the message isn't that you need more information.
Probably not.
You probably don't need another checklist or a 5-step plan. What you might need more of is presence and permission. Permission to let what you already know intellectually become real, physically real, in your bones. And knowing that this process, it's messy. It's definitely not linear. You'll take a step forward. You might feel like you slide back. That's just part of being human.
Absolutely. Wisdom isn't about reaching some state of perfection where you never get stuck again. It's much more about the repeated choice, day by day, moment by moment, to just return. Return to your body. Return to your breath. Return to the immediate felt experience of now.
And every time you do that, Every time you pause and choose awareness instead of automatically distracting or pushing through.
You're actually teaching your nervous system something new and profound. You're teaching it bit by bit. Hey, it actually is safe to feel this. It's safe to be me right now, exactly as I am.
So if you're sitting there right now, maybe feeling that familiar tightness somewhere or that little knot of dread,
Yeah.
maybe don't immediately label it as stuck or failure.
No, please don't.
Maybe that physical signal isn't proof that you're stuck. Maybe it's actually a sign that you're right on the edge of something real wanting to move.
Yes, it's an invitation, really. And maybe here's a final thought to sit with. Once you truly choose yourself in this way, once you finally turn towards and meet that feeling you've been running from, something shifts permanently, you won't be able to quite unfeel it in the same way.
Yeah.
You won't be able to abandon yourself quite so easily again.
That's powerful.
It's not necessarily an ending you could have planned for. It's more like an awakening, a coming home to yourself. So let the wisdom live in your being, not just in your doing. The invitation right now is just to feel.
Yeah.
What part of you, maybe just a small part, is ready to be met today, right now. Not when you feel perfectly ready, but just in this breath.